Welcome to the Practice Podcast, conversations probing the nature of practice. I'm your host, Dave Fearon.
Well, I just said goodbye to Katie Way, who is a extraordinarily well-experienced and very intentional pricing expert, pricing analyst, and one of the leaders in a society for pricing analysts that I didn't know existed until this conversation. And she has found just exactly the right context for her pricing acumen, a neat company, which you'll hear about. And I have to tell you, once again, I'm bringing you a former student, but now 20 years into her career, rocking it, just doing so well professionally and with a lovely family living out there in Portland, Oregon. Just tremendously gratifying to me as one of her teachers to see my results, if you will, 20 years later. I'll claim some of my results, and Katie will give me some credit as well. So here is practitioner of pricing, Katie Way. Folks, I had to chase all around the globe, but years on end to finally have a conversation recorded for the podcast with Katie Way. Was it Kennedy originally?
It was. Good memory.
Yeah. Whoa. We just spoke before I started recording. It's been, over 20 years, around 20 years since we were together in a classroom. Now, I will tell you about her in that classroom. She came in like a small tornado, happily a tornado. She whirled in, found her seat, and, out of breath a little bit. Katie, well, I'm out selling software solutions, or something of that nature. Mm-hmm. And it's not like my job allows me to have control of my time, but you're always there, but you're always on your way in, on your way out, and very interested in the game of sales.
Yeah.
That was my memory of Katie Kennedy.
Yeah.
Now, Katie Way. Currently, Katie's working in a company. Am I correct? Cloudbed?
That's it. Yeah, you got it.
Which has a logo, which I'm seeing on screen, Never Stop Wandering. Now, I thought it was wondering, but it's not. So tell us a little bit about that logo in the company, Katie, and then I will talk about why they found you at just the right moment to take the company to the next level.
Yeah. So, Never Stop Wandering. We are a company of people who love to wander this magnificent earth, to travel far and wide, have new experiences, see new things, learn new things, understand different cultures and people. So we are founded on this idea of travel and hospitality, and what Cloudbed seeks to do as a hospitality management system, which is a lot of words for running a hotel, a software that helps you run your hotel, is we are looking to democratize a 5-star experience for all independent lodging around the world. So we want all of these independent hoteliers and hostel owners and bed and breakfast owners to be able to deliver that 5-star experience to all of their guests, using Cloudbeds as their software to really even the playing field between the Four Seasons of the world and the independent, bed and breakfast that puts their heart and soul into making that the number one, an amazing experience for each and every guest coming through their door. So that's what we help. That's what we help facilitate.
It's an amazing vision.
Yeah,
it really is, because I growing up in Maine, as I did, we had very few of what you'd call the chain hotels back then. It was almost all inns, B&Bs, just family devoted their livelihood to the welcoming of people into clean, comfortable rooms with, some cases, a nice meal. And it was the way that I pine, using a very bad pun about Maine, for an experience. If my wife and I were to go off for a week or a weekend, we'd want that feeling of comfort. Yes, definitely we'd want a few bells and whistles, but we really would like the notion that we're helping someone who's independent, and really putting their heart and soul into making sure the businesses work. Is that somewhat your constituency?
100% our constituency.
Yeah. And
all over the world.
And for the person who wants to find those places, what I suspect you're doing is helping those places be ready to provide the best possible experience. Do you also help them with the locators or the reservations or any of those things, or is that another system?
Yeah. And no, they have a booking engine with they do everything from reservation management, the booking engine, the front desk. And so with that, their guests would book on their Cloudbed's booking engine to stay with them. And all full service, if they want a contactless experience, we offer products like guest in the guest experience realm for them to say, text their guests easily. Any way that a guest wants to communicate with them can come into a single inbox with our guest experience products. So it's really letting them keep up with technology in a way that is affordable, but doesn't, but puts them on the cutting edge of what the consumer today expects of a travel experience.
Amazing. Now, I ask how the company found you. I want to know that because you've developed over these 20 years, and including the years before when you were involved in software sales, when software was in a box. You remember that?
Yeah.
You would bring discs and sell them. So now how do they? So you've got developed an excellent practice but I'm understanding that your role now is lead role in pricing.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
has that been sort of the spine of your work over years? That's been
the common theme over the past 20 years. So I've been in pricing for 20 years. It was how I was taken when I was in the sales role. What I loved about sales and sales training was how to overcome a price objection, how to sell the value of the product or the service. That was what my flame was when we talk about practice. That woke me, that got me up in the morning. And so I priced products, and then at a former company I was at, Beakley, with that experience of selling value and loving a price objection and helping train others to overcome them. When the pricing role opened up, I again took a formal role as a pricing analyst, and from there progressed to a pricing leader. And I actually speak for the Professional Pricing Society today. So I'm one of the speakers in the niche pricing profession.
There is a society of pricing analysts. Mm-hmm. Well, it makes
pricing
sense. Everything we purchase someone has been involved in the process of creating that price.
Yeah.
And what I hear you saying, Katie, is, and probably this is the gist of a lot of your talks, is it's about explaining the value so that the price itself doesn't overpower their decision making. Mm-hmm. Not that you're going to sort of like, don't pay attention to the price. Take a look over here. No, I don't think. I think it's
a value story.
It's a blending. Yes, talk about that. I love that idea of a value story.
Yeah, we want to understand when I'm going to price a product. I want to understand the value story. So from the beginning, from the day they start with the product or the software, what value can they expect to get in 1 month, 2 months, 1 year, 2 years? And I take a look and say, okay, here's the value that's out there that for anyone who uses this product, and then say and then it's figuring out what percent of that total value I know that they can get, what ROI is necessary to sell this. And then I, based on the industry, based on the product, will pick the appropriate ROI based on benchmarks that research has done and say, okay, so if it's 7x ROI, I'm going to take that total value and I'm going to price it so that you get a 7x ROI when you buy at this price. We know you'll get this value, and it's 7x the price you're paying. And that multiple is different for different industries and different products. And that is one of the trickiest parts of figuring out, how do I price my product? Because it does change. So
change is a constant, isn't it? I mean,
it is a constant.
And you make a bit of a calculation that worked great for 6 months ago, or a year, or even a week nowadays, and circumstances change and that impact the value. For example, for almost everything sold over the last couple of years, supply chain became a major barrier to being able to fulfill a promise. When someone, let's say, bought a nice automobile, put down my money, where's my auto? 6 months later, maybe, because of the chip supply. So there's a bit of that going on all the time. The game changes. And how do you personally, as a professional, anticipate how these changes are going to be so that the price variations can be adjusted?
So I want to look at what's going to happen in the economy, and not just how are we going to respond, but how are our competitors going to respond? And how will our competitors respond to our response? So as a premium product market share leader, if I raise prices, will others follow? Yes, right? What we don't want is a price war. We don't want everyone racing to the bottom. And you can easily, in a saturated competitive market, find yourself in that position. And it just not something I'm willing to participate in. A race to the bottom is a big no for me. So I do find, coming from, I've always been, in terms of the companies I've selected, that they are the best in their field, that they have the best product or the best service, so that I know if I raise prices because costs have gone up to operate business, that others will follow us. And of course, they're going to competitively, try to use it against us while also doing it themselves. That dynamic, you can't change that. But I know at the end of the day, if they see us go up, they know they can go up because they have the same cost we do. So it's about being in a position to lead on pricing. And I've very consciously chosen companies where I could be a pricing leader for the market, because I want to know that when somebody uses a product that I'm pricing, that they have the best product available, that I've given them the best tool set that exists right now, because that's who I am. I want to empower them with the best of the best. And so I align myself with the best of the best.
Now, that's a high standard you've set for yourself, Katie Way. It is, because you also have a wonderful family and a home. And sometimes if it means relocation in order to either move to something better or the best, or wait until the right opportunity comes so that you can maintain your home base with two little kids who I'm sure enjoy being in school and being where they are. How do you deal with it, with that personal challenge to be constantly pursuing a chance to be even, now in a new company for you, and yet not constantly disrupt your family?
Well, I've been remote for 9 years now.
There you go.
I moved at my last company and they said, please stay on and just be remote. And so I did that. And then Cloudbed is remote first, remote always. Everybody's remote. And pricing being a new field, they say it takes 30 to 50 years to cement a new field into let's take the IT department or the HR department. It takes 30 to 50 years for that to become a mainstay in every company.
Yes.
And so HR is relatively new, IT is relatively new, and pricing is coming up on 30 years. So we're entering the stage where a pricing team is starting to become, over the next 20 years, something that we'll start to just take for granted that every company has one.
Yeah.
But we're at the beginning of that journey. And because pricing is so niche, and they're looking, when you look at job postings, most pricing jobs are posted as remote because they're willing to find anybody with this experience and let them work from anywhere, because there are more jobs for pricing directors and leaders than there are pricing directors and leaders. So I'm in a good place where,
yes, you are.
I picked a field that does have a ton of remote opportunities, given how hard it is to find somebody with that experience set.
Competitive advantage. I might have even introduced that concept in my management classes when you were my student. Have it. It's my point to the young forward-looking students.
Yeah.
Do what's so important that is you're close to indispensable, and in order to be that way, you have to be really top of game from whatever the game may be. You're going to have to be a very serious student of the company, the business environment,
the practice.
No matter what title they've given you, if they see that you are keen on the dynamics that keep a business going and growing, you're going to be a success no matter where. And here's proof of point, Katie Way. Now, what about this company that I get an idea that they offer a very fine service through their software, but what attracted you to the company, since you're not right there every day, with a cup of coffee? What is about the culture, and particularly of this company, that has attracted this top-notch pricing?
So every time I interview, I look to learn everything. I don't do it lightly. I pick a company, and if they're interesting, I do my research. I do my homework. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that I read their website. And what I found was that they were educating properties on how to move ahead, how to stay on trend, everything that you need to do running a lodging business. They were providing quality educational materials week after week after week. And I read every one of these blog posts. I read all the ebooks they put out. And I found this is a company that cares about their customers. They care that they're successful. And they have an entire team of people that aren't generating revenue per se. They're just generating content to help their customers and others going onto the site on how to best run a property, how to get on social media and do TikTok, or how to calculate these important metrics that are vital to your financial health as a business. And so I learned by just digesting all of this, and I said, and then meeting with them, I found I love to travel and I love hotels. So I found that when I talked to them, I think anytime you interview, you have to come in with a point of view, like what you would do, what you would change, what you would keep, how you would approach pricing there. You need a point of view. And to know that, you need to know everything you can about the company. And the website was full of information. So I had a lot of data. And what I found was that the 5-star hotel experience that I love and enjoy so much was something that can be given at any property. And this is the company to do it. This company is looking to democratize the 5-star experience and give it to every independent lodging property, every independent lodging property owner, teaching them how to do it, providing tools for them to do it, having the software and the capabilities for them to do it, building the future so that in the they'll have that contactless experience coming to them. So they were very forward looking into what could travel and hospitality be in the future, and how do we build our software so that the future's sooner than later, comes sooner than later, and empowering these people to provide an amazing experience to their travelers. And I just, loving traveling and a 5-star experience myself, wanted to be a part of that. Like, it was a mission that excited me.
Absolutely.
And that's what I was, anytime I look at a company, I want, is it going to be exciting to wake up to help drive this mission forward? I want to feel personally invested when I was looking for a job in mission at hand. And I want to feel that my role in the company is making an impact to the bottom line. And because what you put in the bottom line is what you can invest in future innovation, and what you can do. So I felt like, of all of the job opportunities I had, I loved this mission. It was close to my heart. And my role as Senior Director of Global Pricing Strategy would allow me to have a lot of impact in helping them achieve their goals and pursue additional growth. So I said I signed on.
I'm fascinated. A snapshot, if you would, of how you connect with the rest of the leaders of the company in key moments as they're going through their cycles of growth and development. What's it like to be with these people? Are you a peer, no matter what their other titles are? It seems like they should listen to you.
So this is incredible. I come from a company that's very large, almost billion-dollar manufacturing firm run by men. We won't go into that. So, but in that environment, I felt like I had my voice, but I had to be careful about what I said and whose toes. There was a lot of politics, right? At Cloudbeds, that doesn't exist. If I want to talk about a sales initiative, I go to our senior VP of sales. If I want to talk about, hey, we're pricing this new product and here are how, margins are going to vary by market, I'll go directly to our chief operating officer and co-founder, and I'll have a conversation with him about how we're framing this. And, so I'm not just empowered to go to anyone in the C-suite or the founders, I'm expected to. And I love that, because allowed to is one thing, but expected to, that really gives me the permission to work fully with all of these people. And, one of our core values is presence, and it's making your voice heard, and that we value everybody's voice. So use yours. And there's no lane that you can't get in and offer value to. If you have opinions, please put them out there. And so I get to work side by side with the C-suite, with our VPs. We overhauled and created a brand new pricing and packaging strategy in my first year, working very closely with the C-suite together to make that happen. And so I find it exhilarating that if they're, the person who has the answer, the power to get something done or answer a question, I'm expected to go to them versus, the bureaucratic politics of
better not
older
talk to
organizations
so-and-so.
where you have to talk to your boss and then they talk to their boss. And
I can't imagine how you tolerated that, but I know you had you were growing and developing yourself. But what you're describing now is again sort of back to my old teaching days. It's nirvana. It's business nirvana. And I used to tell people, one day there will be companies that will be organized so that everyone's voice is heard, no matter what your role is. And, when I taught the quality courses and others, that was it was sort of part of how you're supposed to, but it's really rare to find a company like you've just described, not only about the inner workings and how you can make the differences you should get the results that you personally and professionally want to achieve, but are doing some really interesting good out there. I go back to what I said when we started our conversation, Katie. Growing up in the vacation land, Maine, the little coastal towns, all the places that people wanted to come to, there were so many of these businesses, particularly in very attractive locations like the ski areas and the coast. And like a lot of things that happened in the last 20 or so years, a lot of them had to close. They just could not, they put up some humongous thing with 4 floors of rooms, down the road from it, and it would put them out of business because people who were traveling said, well, I just need a bed. I just need a bed and a shower. That's not the person that these people wanted anyway. They wanted you to feel welcome and they want you to come back. Real hospitality, and I kind of grew up with that kind of place in a lovely spot called Rock Gardens, Sabasco, Maine, Rock Gardens Inn. At that time, it was just like that. And my grandparents went back every year, probably until they couldn't travel anymore, because it was so right for how I wanted my grandparents to be treated. They just they got older and they couldn't get to the kitchen, to the dining room as easily. Someone would come and escort my grandmother to the dining room. It was just really caring kind of place. And if you're helping businesses around the country and the world elevate that experience, democratizing it, meaning it's affordable, that's a great mission, Katie Way.
Yeah. And during the pandemic, I wasn't part of the company, but they provided a ton of payment relief for people who couldn't pay. We didn't turn them off. We didn't offboard them as we took the funding they had and we
because they were hit
those costs
very, very hard.
So that they could stay open, so that they can keep their system. And when they could open, when travelers could come, that they still had a business to run. So we were a small part of their costs, but we did our part in making sure we weren't one of the reasons that they may have had to shut down. So I knew that about the company, having read their website. So I was really super impressed by that. And it's why I chose them over Nike. It's why I chose them over VMware, why I chose them over Stryker. Some really big names. I felt like this is a company that cares, and they have a mission I feel deeply invested to join. And they're looking after people. Their customers mean something to them, and it's not just strictly business. It's a pretty rare find. So I knew I had to go with Cloudbed.
Yeah, put your arms around it and give it a big hug. Now, in the last minute or two, one of the things that Peter Vale and I have put into our thinking about practice is how important results are to the individual practitioner, that results that are increasingly challenging, which is your last 20 years, is what helps you grow. There are circumstances that change so that it's a little difficult sometimes to achieve the results, and other times it's a slam dunk, but results mean a lot. Now, I understand the internal view that you can have of the results of your pricing recommendations and their decisions. But do you get any chance to get a direct or even indirect take on what happens to the companies, the small hospitality businesses that have bought your product? Do you get a feeling for what is happening with them?
Yeah.
Or is it just a data set?
No, absolutely. No, it's not just a data set. So like one of the products I'm pricing right now, and this is anytime I'm pricing something new, and it's same for when we are restructuring, we talk to the customers. We say, okay, pilot this for free. And then I'm going to go and talk to 10 customers in the next few weeks to say, what worked well for you? What was the impact of that?
Nice.
Explain to me like how did it help? Let's quantify that. Where can we improve? Let's figure that out. And that'll be a part of my pricing research. I do have pricing research that's data, that's survey based, but I'll interview 10 or so customers.
You get the first person kind of thing too.
To do the value interview and say what worked well, what didn't. And when it worked well, how much value did you get from that, and quantify it a bit. And then after that, do the research, understanding, okay, if they got this much value, here are some multiples, let me test some prices. But I want to talk to people who've used the product and understand what the value is from their perspective, so that we're hearing it directly from those hoteliers that this is what the product may have brought for them, changed for them, improved for them. And that gives me my boundaries on what pricing I'm going to test.
Also gives you a feeling of your own impact or your own results. Because if you are prospecting a new service or a new feature, and you have a chance to have these firsthand looks and so forth, and then you finally gets in there, then you do the after action review, don't you, to see, in fact, if it's happening the way the company
was the value there, what was it, and let's quantify that.
And it must feel really good when you see that it's added to their bottom line, or it's added to their customer return rates. I'm sure there are other measures that mean a lot to them.
Yeah, so their success
you get results
makes
all
us
the way
successful.
down. Yeah,
we're nothing without their success. So their success is our number one priority.
Yeah. Wow.
And I love that I get to operate that way.
How would an average consumer like myself know that they're going to be signing up for a place that's served by Cloudbeds?
I don't think you would.
You guys you're the secret sauce.
We'll make their website and their booking engine, and it'll all be, it'll all look like it comes just from the hotel, which is what we want it to be.
Yes.
We are behind the curtain, so you wouldn't know it's a Cloudbeds property, but on the down low, you and I can talk about.
Yeah. Well,
but we want these properties to stand on their own and compete on their own, and they do. We have fantastic properties.
Yeah. So the hoteliers definitely know Cloudbed.
Yeah, and you ask an independent hotelier, yes, we are on Hotel Tech Reports, rated number 1 across the board. So we do very well by industry standards. Yeah, we are something. I'm very proud to work for Cloudbeds. I think we are a top-notch solution, and we care deeply about the success of our customers, and that's what drives everybody. Because we all love travel, and we all love staying in hotels and properties, and we want the best of that for all of us, because then we all win.
Now, proof of the pudding, as my old mainers would say. Have you taken your husband and your 2 lovely kids to one of the properties so they can give you the real test of whether it's
I plan to. I plan to. Absolutely.
Not yet, huh?
Plan to. Not yet. Just because, with life and where we've traveled and stuff, it's been mostly between here and my in-laws, and Not a lot, but yes, I would love to stay at a Cloudbed's property one day and experience that for myself.
Secret shoppers, the Way
shoppers,
family.
Yeah.
The Way family. Let's see, how would a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old enjoy being in this property?
Yeah, I'm absolutely going to get that done. But I've been with the company for less than a year, so
yeah.
I haven't had the chance yet. Yeah.
And I understand from what we said before we started recording, you have 2 extremely busy kids.
I do.
In the best sense of every bit of it. And so congratulations on the most important work that you do is mom and wife.
Yeah.
And secondarily on finding this company that's just right for you right now. I can't tell you how excited I am for you and delighted that we had a chance to not only get caught up, but you've helped me a lot because every time I have a recording for the podcast, I'm trying to show folks this is practice. And they'll say, well, you haven't pointed out any features. No, just listen. Just put yourself in a few moments of absorbing someone as they're talking about what they love doing. That's practice. But the next person over doing the same type of role, you won't hear it. It just doesn't come through. They go over to this person. Now they're up. It's amazing what the energy sounds like, what the choice of words sounds like. So it's very much like if you'll know it when you hear it. And you've definitely filled the bill very nicely with this conversation, Katie.
I have to say, I remember an exercise in your class where you gave us balloons and I think you took away people, but we had to, as a team, keep the balloon up in the air.
Yes.
with increasing obstacles. And it was this, seemed silly enough, but every day, I approach so many things like that balloon, where we have this problem, and at first it seems like easy, like, okay, just manually, we could all just take turns, but you realize like that's not scalable. And so I think of, okay, so how do we scale this? And like the balloon, how do we think creatively to do this with the fewest resources possible in the most successful way possible? Yeah. So I learned so much from practice in your class with some silly exercises to going to the boardroom and trying to solve how do we reduce churn.
Balloon in the air. Yeah.
And it all comes back to it's the same thing. We're just trying to keep the balloon in the air. We're trying to figure out how to automate that balloon staying in the air. And the other thing I love about Cloudbed is I work with the most brilliant people because we are remote first and remote always. We get to hire the best of the best. And so everyone I work with is insanely smart and the best at their job. And so the creativity is amazing and the innovation speaks for itself. But I always think of that balloon experience because I do that over and over and over in my career, just, with different challenges.
One of the several lessons in the balloon exercise was that the balloon will continue to move around, and wherever it needs to be upheld, that's the person who's the most strategically important in that few seconds.
Yeah.
So this whole notion of democratizing was built into that thought, into the way I taught, but also in your experience that the balloon is over you now, Katie. It's a pricing moment, but it's going to be moving along, and now it's over here to someone who's going to have to execute the software upgrade. And so the balloon keeps moving. Is that say that
we have
the balloon decides who's important? That's my whole lesson. The balloon.
We have a mop bucket attitude as our core value, which is if that balloon is over you, then it's your turn to keep the balloon up. That's what that means.
Well, you've certainly made my day and my year and the 50 some years I was in higher education to know that I'm still teaching in this way, but I'm finding for folks now the lessons that really are the most provable, that a happy, accomplished, constantly growing and developing person, also known as Katie Way. Thank you.
Well, it was a pleasure, Doc. I can't call you anything but Doc, but thank you.
Call me Doc.
Doc, you were the most incredible teacher I had in my entire lifetime, and your lessons have stuck a lifetime, 20 years into the future, shaped, the type of work that I'm willing to do, where I can find my flame, and the practice that I take with me to be the best at what I do.
More about social inaction and the nature of practice, head over to inactionresearch.com for more information. Thank you for supporting this show. We look forward to hearing from you soon.
Oh, how could I have forgotten? Our digital book on Practice as a Way of Being is now available. You'll find it online at www.mylibrary.world. I worked on that book after Peter passed away, and I think you will find it a unique and very, very mobile reading experience, since it's wherever your screen is in hand.